All right, let's see. Ooh, it's a little laggy. Cool. So, for the most part, this week I've pretty much been away from, honestly, from dollar pairs because I was pretty unsure, and I was unsure of what this meant here. Honestly, all that there. I was very unclear, or just of what I wanted from this. I didn't know if the reaction post liquidity grab would end up to a very deep retracement or a very corrective continuation, right? And I had two scenarios where if we look at essentially after this liquidity grab, right, which is essentially the discount of this entire range, right? Discount. And what I was seeing with structure, right, was right, I was looking at my range, right, and I was hoping to see something inside, right? But even though we broke essentially this point of interest, right, my entire leg, this is my entire leg, right? Because this is the leg that not only broke structure, but took liquidity. So this is my entire leg, to whereas we should be looking for premium continuation, right? And that bias is still intact, right? Especially because I like how we reacted. I believe it was H8. Yeah, we reacted off of H8 inefficiency technically. I'm pretty sure there's something inside smaller timeframes, right? But we can just build our narrative from there. And for the most part, right, that caused the reaction. But for the most part, this is still looking bullish, right, in terms of intraday. And that's just because of the intraday break of structure, right? So it's considered as a major intraday and a swing leg, right? So our intraday was taken, right? And then this is our intraday range, right? Invalidation point of this entire bias, because in my opinion, if we actually reach down here and kill this leg off, then that means we're playing the narrative of that H8 inefficiency fill. And if that happens, then obviously we're looking for a premium to then continue lower, right? And for the most part though, it's at a very weird spot because there's two things that can happen, right? This could just be a reaction and we can just get a minor intraday continuation just out of just looking there, either fill an efficiency or come and touch something inside of the candle, right? So there's two scenarios. There's the scenario of the bounce continuation, and if we break this previous high, this most recent high, right, we'll more than likely take this high out, and we'll more than likely take out equal highs here, right? So if this bias is valid, then technically any type of minor BOS, right, would be targeting these equal highs here, right? And if those equal highs are taken out, then that is now a full-on trend reversal, and any continuation would be upside momentum, right? And that would honestly invalidate my entire bias, for the most part, my entire bias, right? Because you guys know I'm still bearish on this. And technically, even though it's a bullish closure, it's a very, very bullish closure, this is still technically a swing downtrend, right? But I'm not liking how we took liquidity, right? And we're giving corrective structure based off of this impulse. Right, but there's two ways to comprehend it. There's the there's the narrative of the liquidity grab, right? Or there's also the narrative of this being, right, the pullback, and this is now a break of structure, and now we continue lower. Because at the end of the day, right, as we've said before, right, correction, 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 right? For the most part, these corrections have been not that deep, right? And we have already rejected our weekly inefficiency here, right? So we could be playing out the narrative of a continuation of downside, right? But I am very, very interested to see in what happens in this minor intraday range, because there's a couple, right? The scenario one was the potential liquidity grab continuation, right? Or there's also the possibility of either a liquidity grab and then we come right back into this previous range, and this now sets the narrative of an unwillingness to continue higher, right? So then possibly during New York, you can have a mitigation play to the downside, and that now creates a ton of room for you to hold potential trades, right? And which is honestly what I would like, but I'm not trying to force the intraday bearish setups. That's not what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to let price give me a reason to risk, right? And for the most part, right, this hasn't given me a reason to risk to the downside, right? And then here's what you guys have to understand, right? You guys know that hedging is obviously a big thing, but because I'm a swing trader, right, I also have to acknowledge that even though I'm willing to hold trades for a long time, I also have to acknowledge the fact that I'm willing to wait for trades to come. So if I'm willing to hold a trade for a week, 2 weeks, then I better be willing to wait a week or 2 weeks for the setup to come to me, right? So I'm just essentially just sticking true to my plan and trying to continuations over reversals, right? 80 to 20. That's pretty much why I've been away from this overall. This cross, it's just not appealing to me based off of my overall bias, right? But I really like how we took liquidity, right? Reacted from here, but we took the liquidity here and came right back. I like that because it's inducing this narrative, but we can't also confuse that narrative with the potential continuation that we talked about. So it's just it's a 50-50 at this point. And then that goes the same for EURUSD. Right, as we said last week, right before this happened, I believe it was Saturday, right? This was, or last Wednesday, this was our point of invalidation because this is what led to that break of structure, but our entire range is here, right? So even though we have an intraday break of structure, does not mean necessarily that your swing structure is also going to be taken, right? And you could have said this was your invalidation point, but after this reaction, we didn't break highs and we left liquidity, right? So now this is going to be a future target for me as long as I have a reason to risk to the upside, right? And the only way I'm going to risk anything here is probably depending on how momentum is obviously here, because we could obviously continue hit higher, break structure, right, and then now have an opportunity to risk, right? That's a possibility. Or there could be another possibility, right, where we come here, or we don't even break this high and we just start continuing lower, because we did react from an H4, right, H4 open, I believe, right? But that H4 50% is still very appealing, right? The 50%, because that also lines up with H1 open, I believe. Yeah, right around H1 open, right? So there's always the possibility that we fully break structure here and then find an opportunity to go higher, or we continue lower, right? Take out liquidity, right? Touch that H1, give us back in a range, which will show liquidity unwillingness to continue lower, right? So I would then like to look for some a scalp discount to then continue higher, right? And then this would be your conservative entry to the upside, right? And it fits the overall narrative, because even though structure is technically wanting to show bearishness, right, the overall isn't taken out yet, right? And until these lows are taken, then I'm gonna be fully bearish on this, right? And that's just me trying to be as conservative as I can, because for the most part there's so much more potential in this upside move than there is if I'm trying to catch a continuation lower here, because this would be my first immediate target, and then you have nothing to go off of from there, right? So equal highs here, all right, relative equal highs there, equal highs here, right? We have targets in place, but we just need narrative to give us a reason to risk, right? So for the most part, like I said, I haven't been touching this. I'm really interested to see this reaction, right? But this could very easily just come back and then continue lower, right? Especially because I don't like how we broke, right, that point of invalidation, right? And I don't want to be glued to the bias either. So like I said, either I get what I want or I don't get it at all, right? I'm interested in the potential sells, but I'm trying to stick to my bias. Let's see, right? EURGBP. This is what I've been mainly looking into, right? And I showed you guys the markups yesterday. Oops. Let's see. Cool. So, right. So this was relatively where my entry was, I believe. No, it was over here. I'm sorry, over here. Right. So I showed you guys, right, that overall setup, right? For the most part, a small summary would be this break of structure, and we're just playing inside of here. And then whoever pointed out that to H2 inefficiency 50%, good job, right? That's actually a very good reaction to the downside, right? And the only reason I was concerned with this, right, was because there was actually a minute 10 SC here. I'll show it to you guys actually, or M10 inefficiency fill. Either one, I forgot. Right, it was like right here, yeah. So this is extremely deep, so it would have been something I played off of, but it's given me a reason for a pullback to occur, right? Which would have been that inefficiency fill there. Oh, where's my fucking? Never mind. But yeah, that was there, right? And then this created the narrative and the order flow, right, to the upside, which created the pullback. But after these reactions here, right, once we came back down here, if you really look, right below this low, we have equal lows now, right? So I don't consider this a mitigation move, but these do look like equal lows to me. Hold on. All right, my bad. But anyways, I still have, right, my equal lows here. And even though we mitigated potentially this candle here, right, this has failed. This rally failed to break structure, right? So for the most part, this is still looking pretty bearish in my opinion, right? Unless we take out this previous high, right? Because this could have been a mitigation move there. Yeah, hopefully you guys can't hear that. I don't know why they're being so loud tonight. But yeah, even though this rally didn't break structure and potentially mitigated something here, it shows to me that order flow could still potentially head lower, right? So the only way this is now invalidated is if this high breaks, because if this high breaks, we now have almost nothing to mitigate. And yes, there could be a wick here potentially, right? But that's a very steep retracement to me. So since we broke this level of structure, I would then be more induced to want to look for a potential hedge buy, or if not even a whole trend shift buy, right? Because for the most part, this is looking indecisive, and this can literally just turn on me any day, right? This is starting to go sideways instead of actually downwards now. So one strong bullish closure now, and if we close above these wicks, this could easily just rally. So overall, I have no reason to change my bias just yet, right? Especially because of this, right? This move downwards that broke structure, right? That point hasn't been invalidated yet, right? So unwillingness here, right? But unwillingness here too, meaning we're stuck inside of a range. So it's looking messy. Let me see my phone. Christian asked me a question earlier today. I said I would go over something. Where's my phone? Okay. Let's see. He told me about the German index. What's the German index? D30. He was telling me about this. And he was asking me if this would have been seen as distribution because of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you guys know that I don't like calling, right, corrective moves to be distribution. I don't like calling this accumulation, right? And I've been saying this for months, and that's just because this model is very inconsistent, right? And even though this here played out, it didn't play out because it's a distribution. It played out because it's technically a break of structure premium continuation, right? And it's so easily to misinterpret it because this is just a flag, breakout, quote unquote retest, and continuation, right? And if you trade this model as a Wyckoff accumulation or distribution, right, it's very inconsistent. There's only one example I can name out of the top of my head, and that was probably CJ a couple days ago. Somebody showed it to me. I forgot who it was, right? But I'll go over it in a bit, right? But there's a reason why I consider. There's a reason why I call this Wyckoff and I don't call this Wyckoff. And that's because the corrective diagonal nature and the horizontal range nature. And the reason why is because your taps into quote unquote support and resistance are actually taps, right? Taps of supply and demand, right? And even if you have a liquidity grab, which is what a spring is, and you come right back in a range, this is showing unwillingness, right? This is where the term unwillingness was derived from, right? And whereas here it's just lower low, lower low, lower high, right? Higher low, continuation. This is just structure, right? Meaning that there is logic following this and there is just structure following this, right? And the only way for structure to match direction is when narrative is also in accumulation with it, right? And let me show you, let me see if I can find an example, right? I know there was a CJ example, right? And there's a reason why I don't like trading that bull flag accumulation. I don't even want to call it a variant because it's not accumulation. Wonder where it was. I think it was here. I forgot where I was shown. Yeah, right here, right? So the only way, right, so I teach you guys a schematic must complete in order to be valid, and a schematic must follow narrative in order to be valid, right? So let's say this is literally what is confused as accumulation these days, right? This would be pre-supply, selling climax, secondary test, secondary phase B, spring, test, break of structure, SOS, continuation, right? But in that logic, this would have been that last wick that made this rally. But what happened, right? We start giving corrective nature, and even though momentum rules say, right, impulse, right, and correction, right, and then this would have been an efficiency fill, and boom, right, but it didn't happen because narrative doesn't fit this bias, right? If you zoom out, what in the world is wanting to make you buy here? Just looking at plain out structure, right? Immediate range, right? Break of structure here. And this is where we were looking for that buy. Well, theoretically, right? Whereas we just retested previous structure and just continued lower. Because, for one, right, we broke this previous low. And two, we failed to break this high here, right? This is unwillingness. Unwillingness to continue higher, break of structure lower, continuation to the downside. Right, so schematics must, for one, have a range. How do you say it? A range nature. I don't know how to. Hopefully that makes sense. But it has to be. Hopefully I'm making sense, right? Horizontally, not diagonally, for one. And two, it must fit your overall narrative. If it doesn't fit your overall narrative, then you're going against yourself. Right? How can you have a scenario where you're buying against a bearish break of structure? You know, it just, like I say, make it make sense, and that doesn't make sense. Right? So I don't think Christian's on the call. He's one of my European guys, so he's probably asleep. But yeah, other than that, that's the lecture for today. Not much to cover. The doggo's at it again. They're always at it, bro. I don't know if you guys saw that. Oh, Evan sent it to me. I'm gonna find this. He sent me this like TikTok that it was like about a dog that that literally just makes like annoying noises all day, and I'm like, imagine having two of them. I'll find it and I'll send it in the chat whenever I do. But yeah, other than that, do you guys have any questions? If you want to know about the new content, I'm currently on phase 3 of notes. It's about like 10 pages on my iPad. And I'm not going to explain anything on that just yet, because it'll be very confusing. Yeah, honestly, for the most part, I know how everybody in the niche, well, every popular trader, I know how they trade for the most part. And a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to show on there is shown by none of them. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully everything comes out as planned and everything will come out really good. This is recorded in there. Yeah, dope. Yeah, and then all of those videos will be, they will be uploaded with the new video hosting service that we have. And we might have to have the site go down because the only issue with that video hosting platform is that, you know how Sprout allows us to have passwords? That one doesn't. So we're probably going to try to add something onto the website. So for anybody who just signs up, they can't watch the content, right? They obviously need to send their details, information, right, before they can access videos. Yeah, so other than that, I died when you said you think this is right. Yeah. I wouldn't do you guys like that. I think that's fucked up, to be honest. Yeah, man, honestly, these yens have been trending, at least trending. You know, USD's been pretty consolidation impulse. This is actually decently trending. Notice this. Any thoughts on price stalling until after election? Yeah, that's also, so I'm wary of that. And that is in what, a couple days? about 5 days. Yeah, so we're gonna see a big move. So for the most part, I'd say stay away. I'll definitely say stay away. To BH, I think either way, no matter who wins, I think dollar would take a dump. I need to go vote. I was about to say something stupid. I don't want to make this a politic talk. But yeah, do you guys have any questions, concerns, topics you want to talk about? Just cover. Not even trading topics, just topics in general. Nope, so we're good. When you throw in the RCV 6-month party. I mean, we're going to go to London in the summer. Probably get a good little Airbnb out there. Yeah, right. Probably a bit after tax season. I just hope COVID. I mean, honestly, I hope COVID goes away post elections, which I have a little feeling it might. My wedding is in July. You're getting married? It must be nice. Congrats, bro. Sergio, take notes. Yeah, I forget how older some of you guys are in comparison to me sometimes. But yeah, if anybody's doesn't want to unmute themselves, right? I hope everybody's well, healthy. I'm 24 and feel old with this group. Nah, to be honest, 23, 24 is like the mean. It's definitely the average. Sergio's next, yes. 100%. Yeah, I mean, we just want to meet the a lot of the European guys because we probably won't get the chance to. But we'll definitely be in London. But yeah, other than that, I think I'll see you guys later. Solid 30 minutes. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I'll see you guys Saturday.